let's look for just a second on how you make a frequency and a relative frequency distribution table for qualitative data. So I want to make that type of a table, and I want to look at birth month from our response survey. So I'm going to scroll through this set of data, this column of data, and I'm just kind of making sure that the responses that were given are accurate for what I need. So I'm looking through this data and I see here the number 11 is entered, and then if I scroll up I see a number 13 that was entered. So while the responses were supposed to be the actual name of the month, sometimes that doesn't always happen, and so since I can't really figure out what month 13 is, I'm going to delete that response, and I'm going to instead go down here and I'm going to assume that response that came in as an 11 should actually be November, because November would be the 11th month. So I'm just going to make that assumption, and I'm going to change the responses accordingly. So if I have the data listed here, how do I make a table, a frequency and a relative frequency table representing the birth month? So for qualitative data, I'm going to come up here to Stat, come to Tables, and I want to do a frequency table. I want the frequency table to be done on the birth month that I just edited, and frequency along with relative frequency statistics are what are going to be given. I click Compute, and it's going to stick that data here in a table for me to be able to do something with. You can see I have a count of 30, so it took the 30 responses from January through December, and it calculated the frequency with which each of those responses occurred, as well as the relative frequency that they occurred, so the percent with which they occurred. Now from this point I have the options to possibly save the data, so if I wanted to save this for future references, I could call it something specific like frequency table birth month, and then I can save the responses. And that's how you go about making a frequency as well as a relative frequency table for qualitative data.